Indeed, and greetings unto you, beloved, dearly beloved and holy friend. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing this moment, for being present. Oh, bless you. And for saying sorry. I'm sorry. I am. Is the Reddit working? I do believe so. I'm sorry. Hello, Shannon. I'm sorry for freaking spacing again. Every single time I have to use my phone to do the yoga sessions, for some reason I completely space. Like my pattern of going live or starting the yoga session is like clicking on the link, and then the link opens up, and then I click on my Discord, and then the Discord opens up, and then I start typing yoga flogger spacebar, and then I go back to the having now started Zoom link, and then I hit Alt Shift I, which creates the invite link, and then I go back to the tab, and then I post it, and then it gets sent. And for some reason, like that whole pattern, that whole little fractal, is just null and void when I try to use my phone. It's okay, Val. I forgive you. Thank you, thank you, and I appreciate you forgiving me. But that's not what the stream is about, and I wanna make that statement because I could make it on the Reddit, but I didn't make it on the YouTube. We say sorry not because we want forgiveness, not because that is the objective of saying sorry, but instead to make sure others know that we aren't ignoring, aren't oblivious to, we're aware of the fact that we have done something that might not have been as conscientious, as loving as it possibly could have been. And in saying sorry, you just kind of connect with that person to acknowledge that, yeah, I make mistakes. I make mistakes. Sometimes I'm hot headed. Sometimes I want things to be a certain way. Sometimes I expect things, and to instead of kind of like standing on that ground, pretending like you're somehow justified to be standing on that ground, to take a step back and to say sorry. I'll share some of the context with you, friend, in a little bit. I love you so much. Words for nerds. Love you. I'm gonna be back in a second, and I'll read all of your comments. I'm gonna get my water and my little book of things we're saying, my cards, and then we'll be back. I love you. The sickest. The sickest, sickest. Here we are. How are you? How are you doing? How's life treating you? Have you done something that you want to say sorry for? Will you? If you don't want to, why is it you're having a hard time saying sorry? Do you feel in saying sorry somehow you give the other person the upper hand? You give them, you make them right, you know, and in turn making you wrong? Why is it we have a hard time saying sorry? Like the thing I said sorry for today was my time anxiety. You know, like before I went on this little family vacation or family get together, really, I made sure to talk to my mom about our plans for time, when we'll be coming back on the Sunday, which is today, of course. And her response to me was, we're going to eat breakfast at Jock's place. It's my uncle's name. After we eat breakfast, we're going to basically pack, get in the car, then we're going to see your brother, and then go home. And I'm like, okay, okay, okay. That sounds good. And then, like, I've packed the car, like me and my younger brother, we packed the car, packed a bunch of stretchers and stuff for other people as well, took a bunch of other stuff to other people as well. And then after like everything is packed and we're like ready to leave, there's like still conversing happening, the way that adults can be. Damn adults. And I'm like starting to feel this scratching anxiety, building in me little by little, little by little. And I basically just sit down with my siblings as we're waiting for our parents so that we can leave. And I go to my mom multiple times, I think 3 times. I ask her, can we leave, please? And like basically ignores me, literally. And I eventually ask my sister to go and ask her as well. She comes back without, anything happening as well. And then about another 30 minutes after that, my mom, went and, I don't know, put on more makeup or something. I really don't know. And then we were ready to leave. So up until that point, like I'm constantly monitoring time, kind of like extrapolating. If it takes us 2.5 hours to drive from here to home, then I like keep seeing me edging closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to this moment, where we had to be present with one another. And the closer and closer I get to this moment, the more and more anxious I get for not being in the moment I'm supposed to be. If you know what I mean? But no frustration, no anger, no outbursts, if you will, up until that point. And then as we're getting ready to leave, my dad tells us that the motorcycle at 1200 cc, 600 kilogram motorcycle. So 600 kilograms is 1,200 pound. So 1,200 pound motorcycle. We now have to load onto the truck. The truck's bed is filled with all of our like blankets and stuff that we had to take for the weekend, our towels, and then our bags as well for our clothing. So there's like it's like stacked, and it has like a cover over it, and that cover it's like stacked up until the cover. And I'm like, Dad, no, like you brought this motorcycle here as your vehicle. Use your vehicle to go back home. Like loading, trying to load, and there's no ramps. He didn't bring any straps. Like he was probably gonna borrow straps from my uncle or something. I'm like, Dad, no. And then he tells me, oh yeah, it is to reduce risk, he says to me. And I'm like, dude, you've been driving this motorcycle for thousands of trips back and forth. And now that there's a truck next to the bike, you want to load the bike onto the truck to reduce risk? And I'm like, no, that's not true. At least I don't believe it's true. And that it's probably a fuel thing or unwillingness to drive, because now it's going to be 2 people that have to drive into the same direction instead of just one. And I say, Dad, like this is going to be so cumbersome, because then it also means that he has to be in the car with us, which is already cramped, So there's like these layers. And if the bike was kind of like in the back, we would have to have some of the luggage that was in the back in the car. So at that point I'm heated, where I'm like, I feel this deep sense of why this now? Why want to load the motorcycle you drove here onto the truck? Like, why? At first I thought he was joking. Unironically, I was like, that's funny. And he's like, no, I'm serious. And I'm like, no, Dad, I'm not going to help you. One, like, this is not something that I'm going to condone or, encourage. And he eventually kind of like bends the knee, decides that he will drive back himself. And we're greeting the family. And I say, Dad, hey, Papa, veilig ry, which means, drive safely. And he tells me, don't tell me to drive safely. You don't care. So then my frustration, like up until that point, it was just like frustration, this sense of why do we have to do this now? Why do we have to create this scenario that is gonna 100% create tension? Why? And then when he says, oh, don't tell me to drive safely because you don't care, it snaps. Yes. And I didn't really, do anything about it. I basically just got in the car, but I'm fuming, deep-seated anger, like how dare you kind of vibes, And I was thinking about Ryan the whole time, telling me to kind of notice the tick, My dad saying this thing to me, why does it make me angry? I skipped the step of why, and I just went straight angry. I was like, fucking, I care more than I admit every single day. I care so much that I would be willing to, how do I even articulate how much we care. I care so much that I would be willing to tell my parents that I do psychedelics, that I would be willing to take them through psychedelic journeys themselves because I want them to have better quality of life. You know, I want my dad to be happy. I want my mom and my dad's relationship to be a good one. I want my relationship with my dad to be a good one. I want my relationship with my siblings and my dad to be a good one. Like all of these layers of things that I care about, and then to in a single sentence, you don't care. Don't tell me to drive safe because you don't care. It feels like this offense to my soul. So angry, right? Angry, get in the car, kind of like I'm done. Then we start leaving, and I have this sense of calm, like okay, thank you. At least we'll get back home at an appropriate time. And we go to one of my mom's friends' places, and we get there, and she's not there, and we wait for 40 minutes, and we're just waiting. And then again, my time anxiety. So at this point, we got there at close to 11:11, and they got back home close to 12, and yeah, close to 12, and I'm like legit wired out of my mind with the fasting. You get this sense of urgency, the sense of like it's almost like your body knows that it has no resources, so it knows that it's supposed to do something, right? Like, oh, I'm hungry, I should probably forage for food. So that almost like that mentality, that part of yourself that is like, okay, forage for food, that do things with my hands, like that is like deeply in me. So I'm like making coffees and pouring people drinks, giving it out to them. And I tell my mom like 5 minutes past 12 that if we don't leave in the next hour, I'll be late for my yoga stream. And we have two friends that pay to be in the yoga stream. So it's not even a right, like this is something that I want to do, but this is now what I'm supposed to be doing. This is now the thing that I've shown up for. I have committed. You know how I am about commitments. A commitment is a deliberate decision that something will be so. I've made this deliberate decision that it will be so. There's nothing. There's nothing in the universe, a meteor gonna hit the earth and turn us all to crisp, little dusticles, and I'll still show. I'm of course being ridiculous right now, but so like it builds, there's this like getting closer and closer, and now it's like minutes, right? Like if we don't leave in the next 55 minutes, I'm late, guaranteed. And I've like calculated, and we get closer and closer, and I say this to my mom, and she's like, no, we're not leaving. And instantly again, previous anger comes back to me of like, we had a conversation about this, mom. I talked to my sister Friday night while you were sleeping, and then when you woke up, from your nap, I talked to you about this, making sure, deeply, deeply making sure, what is the time schedule? How are things gonna look? And then on Saturday morning, before we left, I made sure again, because I'm willing to. I don't have FOMO, fortunately. I'm not missing out on anything. I can only bring something to something. I can't miss out from something, right? So I'm willing to stay home if it means I can do what I've committed to doing. And this feeling of having made these plans, having put out this pattern that we're gonna follow, and then to see that pattern melt in front of my eyes, devastating. So I sit down and I meditate for 11 minutes and 44 seconds, and I'm like, after this meditation, I'm gonna go and say something again. And I asked my dad to give me, the keys to the motorcycle. Like, I'll drive the motorcycle just so I can be here in this moment. And when I asked the second time, can I get the keys to the motorcycle? They were like, okay, no, can't give you the keys. You'll you'll have a harder time getting to your stream if you die on the motorcycle on the way there, is the words to me. I'm like, okay, thank you. And we basically start leaving. And I started having this conversation with my mom about consideration and respect for each other, and how my siblings, for example, have for some reason the ability to garner more respect or more trust than I do. You know, my 14-year-old sister is allowed to take the car and, drive it to the road. Like, she's allowed to do that. I wasn't allowed behind the car's steering wheel until I had my learner's license, which you can only get it when you're 17. So I was 3 years older than her, had to get government documentation before my parents allowed me to drive the car. And then, my sister just gets to drive the car nilly willy when she decides to. And I asked my mom, like, why is that? Why is that so? And in this air of consideration and double standards is the words that I used, where the biggest thing that my mom and my dad always fights about is lack of communication, one, and secondly, after communicating, not being truthful to what you communicated. Like, you say something is going to be one way, and then when it gets to the point where it has to be the way that you said it will be, then suddenly it's not that way anymore. And in my world, that feels like the biggest offense. Like, that's the worst thing you can do to someone. If you tell them, I'm going to show up in this way, and then you don't, like, that's trust breaking, right? Like, trust takes an eternity to build, a moment to lose. So I'm like devastated. I'm like, mama, asseblief, ek verstaan nie hoekom hierdie so is nie. And then she basically kind of like puts us on a detour for another hour and a half. And I'm like extra visceral about that, where like I knew, and you could see it on the timer as well, we would have only been able to leave uh, Pretoria at 2 o'clock if we went on that detour. My mom wanted to go and see my brother and deliver cakes with him. And that's an hour and a half detour, and we would only get out like at 2 p.m., which means 2.5 hours of driving. I missed my yoga class, and I would have not been here in this moment right now. And I'm again like, Mama, this is the thing, and I say this directly, Mama, this is the thing you and my dad fight about the most. Not, any of these other things, but saying one thing and then doing another. And like it's just this pain, like it's like pain being shared back and forth. And if we get to this point where we're like, okay, we're not going to take the detour, we're going home. And I say, donkey mama, bye donkey, thank you so much, mom. And she's like, you should get some rest or something like that, because I tell her that I'm frustrated, I'm tired, i'm I'm a little bit low batteries at this point. Like, my mind feels very wired, but my body is like pulling me into the earth right now. And she tells me to get some rest. I get some rest, and we got here 7 minutes past 3. So I usually start my yoga class like 15 minutes past 3. So I rushed, put my bags in my room, got the streaming setup done, and I came into the space. But before that, as I was waking up from my nap, on the road, we were just coming into town. I apologized. I apologized for being rash, for being pushy, for being expectant, for wanting things to be one way instead of another. And even though nobody in the car forgave me, I don't have to be forgiven, because the point for me was to acknowledge that I could have handled better. I could have been more soft. I could have been more gentle, right? Like, I wasn't derogatory or mean or hateful in any way, but I was hurt, and I was trying to express the pain I was feeling, how these things hurt us all, and that we're not supposed to be hurting one another in this way, especially if we have made a commitment not to hurt one another in a certain way. And upon apologizing, it was just this acknowledgement that I make mistakes. And I'll keep making mistakes probably. I'm trying to get better. I'm actively trying to get better. That's the only thing we can do, right? We can just try. We can just try. You are the one who is reborn when you choose to remember only loving thoughts. Yassi, you are the one who is reborn when you choose to think only loving thoughts. I love you. Oh, I love you. Sorry for taking you through my trip for the day. I feel, being honest with you, friends, allows me a sense of honesty with myself as well. I'm not even close to perfect, yo. It's not even- We're working on it. Oh man, today's title is a good subject. Hoping I can hear some great wisdom. Good morning, loves. Sending you all bear hugs and laser beams of love straight into your hearts. Thank you for the loving laser beams. I appreciate that so much. Ninja Peach, beloved Eden, again, words for nerds. But most important question, what do you think of instant coffee? Weirdly enough, I'm actually not a fan. I'm gonna sound super pompous. And let's pretend I've been doing this my entire life, and I've not been only doing it for exactly 18 days. Yeah, it's not been 18 days. It's of course been my whole life. I crush my own beans. I crush my own beans and I drink filter coffee. Or, yeah, technically it's a filter and it has a press. It's not a French press, and it's not filter coffee. It's a weird combination. It's called an AeroPress. It's a weird combination of the two. So yeah, I tend to be a little bit snobbish with my coffee because I only drink one. I drink one coffee and then I'm done. So I've gotten to this point where I want that one coffee to be supreme. The creme de la creme of the coffees. Sorvina. It's nice to see you again, Sorvina. Like all coffee, it should be banned and used the land for something else. Hates coffee. I'm seeing that. I didn't know you hate coffee that much, Serena. I mean, you can get like caffeine from teas as well, so we would be okay even if we didn't have coffee. Beloved Eden says, I'm Canadian. I have no problem saying sorry. The only important thing is the intention and the meaning behind it. I couldn't agree more, Eden. I couldn't agree more. And I feel like the sorries in Canada can almost be like a response, right? Can almost be a response. Like you apologize for inconveniencing someone in the first place, where I wouldn't. Like I don't feel sorry for saying hello or interrupting whatever it is you're doing. Maybe I do actually. I'm reflecting and I'm like, I actually do apologize. I say sorry for interrupting you. No, 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 no. Right? But today's sorry is more to acknowledge that I am not perfect. I am not perfect. I make mistakes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be better. My saying sorry is my attempt to start being better. To being better, friend. Hermes Blur. We have beloved Lindsay saying good morning, everyone. Good morning to you too. Did you see my coffee question? I did, friend. I was just in a rant. No good imitation coffee. Hey, brother Dan is here as well, saying afternoon, brother. Looking comfy in the cradle of life. I'm feeling present, brother Bear. I feel a little bit emotional. I know that I'm feeling all of these things because there is definitely some adventures coming a little bit later. But I'm present. I'm here, dude. It's so nice to be here with you. Joy Vive, yesterday's stream was fun, Mel. Hope you had a good time. I did. I had an amazing time. Me and my family, like it felt even better after the stream than it did before the stream, where there was just like a genuine sense of closeness. People were probably more drunk, which helps, and I felt like I had a contact high from all of the people, but like I eventually kind of grew tired, if you will, of the playful, boisterous energy, if you will. So me, my cousin Vili, and my other cousin's wife Danae kind of like retreated to this little wine cellar, which is like this little cave in my uncle's house. And we just had chats, and we started having chats about fathers. Yossi, we only had two conversational topics. We first started talking about fathers or parents, and specifically something my cousin was talking about is this difficulty slash, you could use the word resentment, but it's not really resentment we have when our parents tell us to do something and then they expect us to drop everything in our lives, pretend like we don't exist other than for their, actions, for their will. You know, like that thing was like kind of one of the things that I struggled with my dad as well, where they expect you to do something instantaneously. You know, like they I feel like I guess it's a respect thing for them as well. Like you jumping at the drop of the hat, at the drop of their hat, when they say jump, you jump, makes them feel powerful in some way. But having that power try to be practiced over you as a child is a surefire way to start hating your parents. You know, and we were having a conversation about that. And then as me and Willy started having this conversation, that's when Dune walked into the cellar with us, and then she started having the chat because she is a parent. She started talking about the fact that she's one of those parents, where if she tells her kids to do something, they have to do it right now. You know, if she tells them to take their bowls back to the washing basin, to the you call the washing basin? We call it a wasbak. Yeah. Anyway, vat jou bakkie terug in die wasbak toe. You know, that has to happen right now. And then, like, as we're having this chat, the uncle whose party it was walks in, and he like shares his frustration about his younger son. He has a 14-year-old right now, and he's in his rebel phase, very much so, very much in his rebel phase. And my uncle is getting a little bit fed up with him because he's divorced from the mom of the son, and the mom hates the dad and hates on the dad when the son is at her place, and then he comes back to his place, and then he hates his stepmom, and it's like just like this contrived nonsense again, and it's difficult. It really is difficult for all of them involved. I had a little bit of a chat with him about that, and then my dad came into the room as well, and we had a little bit of chat of a deep chat about the whole dad topic as well, and then we started like transitioning into the whole conversation on God, you know, and specifically the Christian understanding of what God is supposed to be, and how my understanding of what God is something that they can't understand. And we spoke about that for 3 hours, 11 to 12, 12 to 1, 1 to 2, ceaselessly in this loop where I'm like, this is what I think, this is what I see. No, but this is the way the Bible says it is. I'm like, yeah, I get that, but this is the way I see it. But this is the way the Bible says it. 3 hours, and all of it was beautiful. All of it was this genuine, like deep conversation, deep recognition of one another, deep feeling into what we understand. You know, trying to understand one another, trying to see from each other's perspective. There was no animosity. There was no tension. There might have been like a 10% air of frustration, but not frustration to the point of showing teeth at one another, right? Like there was a genuine respect for one another in that space. Like after two, went to bed, ended up having more chats with my brother and the cousin. So only got to bed like around 3-ish. And then around 3-ish, this big, beautiful black cat. He probably weighed like 20 pounds, seriously. Like came and laid, you know, with me in the bed as well, close to my legs. So I had to shimmy myself on the stretcher to not like disturb him too much. And then of course I was sleeping on a stretcher, so you sleep uncomfortably on one side for as long as you can, and then you sleep uncomfortably on your back, and then you sleep uncomfortably on the other side, and then you flip between that, you know, as you go through the night. And as I was going through that, I was like being conscientious of this little catty to make sure I'm not gonna like kick him off of the blankets or whatever. But yeah, definitely not the best night of sleep. And then I woke up like 4.5 hours later, and I was like, oh well, I guess we're awake now. So lack of sleep, fasting, frustrations with dad, and then frustrations with time can definitely be a surefire way to have tensions. And even though all of those tensions were experienced, those tensions melted away, and I got to apologize for being tense in the first place. The time with the family was very beautiful, though. All of it. So beautiful. So many people just living in love. Had a cool conversation with one of the friends of my uncles as well, about the stuff that we talk about the future. She believes that everything is going to turn around in 2024, and I was like, shit, it's way sooner than I thought. So thank you for the vibes. She's a volunteer worker. She helps people that has drug abuse problems, helps them get their like withdrawal medication and stuff like that. Helps people through their withdrawals, like an absolute angel. And we were talking about saving the world by being you, by just being a loving note of consciousness instead of a hateful one. And it's sometimes difficult, especially, noticing that we're tired. We have these frustrations with our parents, with our employers, with our governments. We have these frustrations with our relationships. We have these time sensitive paranoias, how fast things need to happen. And all of these things combined makes it very difficult for us to be present and think only loving thoughts. So I feel like it was a beautiful lesson, beautiful day of learning. And now I'm going to try and incorporate all of these lessons at the end of the day. It's going to be an adventure. Again, Dan, love to you. It's so nice to have you here. Some people don't like or get annoyed when I say sorry and they tell me to stop. Say sorry for saying sorry. For saying sorry. Shadow. No, Sorvita, it's nice to have you here too. Jovan, love to you. Sorry. Sorry for not posting the yoga link. I don't know if you were looking for it, but I'm sorry if you were and you couldn't find it because I didn't post it. Spaced again. Not sure why he tried that. I'd rather be on the bike than in the truck. Exactly, Sorvita. Exactly. Like that's my mind as well. I was like, I'll drive it. I'll drive the bike. If you're so concerned with your safety, because that was his sell. That the reason he doesn't want to drive his motorcycle is for his safety. And I'm like, dude, you have like 1,000+ trips on that motorcycle. You have never for a second even considered the fact that it's not the safest vehicle. Statistically, it's just as dangerous as a car. It depends on your driving style. Just as your likelihood to crash your car is also dependent on your driving style. Truth, it's nice to have you. I just got home. Last time I left, my dad and I got in some pretty stuff, some some petty stuff before I left. I understand 100%. Yeah, that was petty, dude. Such petty shit, dude. Like wanting to load the motorcycle onto the truck. After we've already packed and we're outside greeting people because we want to leave. And now he's like, yeah, now we're gonna load the motorcycle. I'm like, dude, not the right fractal. It's not the fractal we were planning for. I understand 100%. Just wish it could be easier to keep a good relationship. The thing is, as well, throughout the whole weekend, the relationship and the love I could share with my dad was so pure. Was so resolute. Was such a good understanding with him. And then it felt like he was just like weirdly enough relapsing into old patterns at the end of it. Almost like to create some balance. I don't even know. Sometimes the only thing you need to say to fix any communication is "I'm sorry." Definitely not said enough. There it is. There it is, truth. That is what we're encouraging for all of us today. My ex was raised not to say sorry. He told me that his mom taught him that sorry doesn't mean anything. He shouldn't have done it in the first place. Goodness. It was endlessly frustrating trying to deprogram him. I can't even imagine, Joy V. I appreciate you for trying. And even if you didn't succeed, I'm guessing in your opinion of what success could look like, you might have probably still been with him. You still did succeed in what you were there to do. He is changing. You can think of like being deprogrammed as an execution, right? Like you were entering the code and then you hit enter and then the system freezes or just perpetuates whatever bullshit it was doing as you hit the enter button. And then, maybe after a year, maybe after 10 years, eventually that program executes and you will be deprogrammed. I believe in you, Joy V. Thank you for having done that work. Love you, Melt. I admire your willingness to be openly express your feelings with us. We certainly aren't perfect, but we can always get to choose to be better. Exactly. And I thank you, friends, so much for choosing to be better actively and every single day. That's an absolutely awful lesson. I'm sorry, goodness. Sometimes we have to learn the hard lessons. Love you in your presence. Here is the Space Tunes. I agree with Tunes. That is an awful lesson. Grant, sorry, get used to say too much. And some people just keep doing the same thing and then say sorry each time. Yeah, then you're not saying sorry. Then you're not admitting fault. You're just saying sorry because you believe it's a fix. And I feel like it's a beautiful point that you're making. So that is something we have to be aware of. That in the act of saying sorry, we should be saying sorry from this acknowledgement, this recognition that I've made a mistake, I've done something wrong, I could do it better. Like that is what it should be. You should feel that instead of just being like, yeah, sorry, it's just the sound I'm making, then people, move along. But for decent people, when you accidentally F up, sorry can help show what you did and said wasn't meant to hurt the person. Exactly, exactly. Beautiful point that is actually. My takeaway was that parents can really screw up their kids. We were talking about that as well, Joy V. Beautifully said. Like, that was one of the points that Dune brought up that was really beautiful, where she was listening to this motivational speaker that talks about being a parent. And one of his points, one of the starting points is that you will mess up your kid. You will scar your child. Your child will be angry at you for a plethora of different things. And you will have to somehow manage that anger, that disappointment. And yeah, I think all of us, have some residual stuff from what our parents gave us. Oh, that I learned from my brother's best mate's parents. Absolutely nuts. Most of the road avoided them. Most of the road avoided them. One of the kids ended up on the school roof drinking, throwing his shirt at the police. Yo, it's like this breaking point. Your mom or your parents as a child telling you that you shouldn't apologize because you shouldn't have done it in the first place. Creating this narrative in your mind that I don't have to apologize for things. I should just do things, that I can do as long as I can get away with it, or basically that, right? And then it like that fractal leading to something else, leading to something else, and eventually you ending up on the roof of a school drinking, you said? Drinking, throwing your shirt at police officers. It's quite a pattern. Goodness, thank you, Safina, for reminding us to be loving, to think loving thoughts. It sounds like your dad was hurt and projecting onto you because he couldn't get his way. Just because you don't get your way doesn't mean someone doesn't love you. Exactly. And not only that, but like the way he wanted to get was going to inconvenience everyone. You know? Like he would have to be in a five-seater car with us. And like there's only five of us, but we're van Aswegens. Like we're relatively big people. So it's not like we're all of us weigh, 80 kilograms plus. So it's not comfortable being in a five-seated car, especially on the truck. And the middle seat in the truck is like literally, you know, this thick as well. So it's not very comfortable to sit in the car like that. And then I'm getting riled up all over again. And then the fact that if it had to work out that way, some of the stuff in the back of the car had to be in the front of the car. So not only would we be stacked like sardines against one another, but we would be stacked like sardines with bags of clothing or bags of linen on top of us as well. And I was just seeing this fractal. I could clearly see this fractal opening up in my visual space of like how uncomfortable the entire ride is now going to be because my dad has now on a whim, literally on a whim, that morning, 10 minutes before we decide to leave, decided that this is what it's going to be. And I was just like, no, dude. No, no, no. Honestly, Savina definitely makes me appreciate the family that I have, no matter how fractured. Just choosing to let go instead of holding on to the garbage. Me too. Me too, Contunes. Like, that was the thing that came back to me during this whole weekend. It's just how grateful I am to have the family that I do. Like, I feel me and my dad have a bunch of things that we disagree upon, but he's been a good dad. He has been a good dad. And when I say these things, when I feel these ways, I'm not telling you these things to try and belittle or make my dad any less, but it's just how I feel in this moment, the perspective that I have as a son that I get to share with you potentially as a parent, potentially as a child of a parent as well, so that we can find some sort of some sort of feeling, some sort of resolution, some sort of understanding, I guess. We can wash basins, sinks. There we go. Sink is the word that I was thinking about. We call washing basins sinks. Yeah. Wasbak. Wasbak is like the wash basin, right? Wasbak. It's the closest thing that I could translate in the moment. Thank you again. I appreciate you letting me know. My mom visited them once, completely clueless to what we knew. And their mom shouted at the youngest, around 5, at the top of her voice to shut the fuck up because their family was trying to sleep. Savina, at least we get to be better, friend. At least you get to be better. Joy, stop. That's exactly what I said. It's okay. Thank you, Gatus. Thank you for the masterpiece. I appreciate that, beloved friend. Morning, Truth. It's nice to have you on the Reddit as well. I'm not sure if Mercury is entering or in retrograde, but yesterday was full of anxiety and feeling overwhelmed. I was also feeling overwhelmed. I literally had to sit down and meditate to kind of handle the overwhelming feelings. Mental health is important, more important than doing things that others expect you, like making memories, you know. Health comes first. I agree, Anan. But I like making memories and I like spending time with my family. But I also like being committed to something. I feel like, and I had this conversation with my uncle where he was asking me how the hell I can do what I'm doing. You know, it was like, you're doing what? Hey, Lane! Love to you, Lane. So nice to have you here, man. He was like, how do you do something for 600 plus days, dude? I'm like, well, initially it started as a ego thing, you know, where I was like, yeah, you know, my ego was like, you're gonna do this thing, you're gonna fucking stream every day for a year, you know, and I was like, yeah, wow, started doing it, you know, actually showed up for it, and then as we were going through the year, it went from this point I was trying to make to realizing that the point is you, literally, right? And then I realized that I'm not showing up for the act of showing up. I'm showing up for you. You know, and whoever you are, you can be someone different, right? Like you can watch this thing 1,000 years from now, and it's still you. It's still you that I'm talking to. So I realized in a deep way that I'm showing up for people. I'm showing up for divinity, you as that divinity. That love is within you, and that love is what's true. And that in showing up for that, we can share that with one another. And I finally shared with him that upon starting this journey, I have never been happier. I get to show up every single day and be viscerally excited to do so. You know, like that is something that I feel is actually invaluable. Like I can continue doing these streams indefinitely and not earn a single dollar, and I'd be like doing it with a smile because I enjoy it. This to me, this sharing of one another, this ability to reflect into each other's opinions, perspectives, is the most divine thing this world has ever allowed me to do. And the fact that we get to, the fact that we have the technology to right now, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to. It's very common for parents to pull back restrictions for younger siblings. I'm going through I'm going through it as a parent right now. Tell me why. Tell me why. And I was trying to like figure out why that is as well. And the reasoning I came up with as I was like thinking about this in the car was that with the older siblings, it's basically like you have your first kid, right? Like I was my parents' first kid. So they raised me as this kid, got to see me as this kid, and didn't trust me as this kid with anything. You know, like they allowed me to do my own things, but anything of theirs, they didn't trust me with. And I guess I understand that because it's not like I could prove to them that I am in fact trustworthy if they don't trust me in the first place for me to prove to them that I can be trustworthy, you know? Full moon. Is it full moon right now? Sicketh. Mercury goes into retrograde Friday or Saturday. Saturday, okay, will also be a full moon. Thank you for sharing that, Shannon. I'll be in Chicago with my brother next Saturday. What are you gonna do there, brother Bay? Lane, hope you have a good trip. What you doing? There we go. I'm gonna see a jazz band, Sungazer. That sounds sick, dude. Do you listen to jazz? Or like is this band playing, and now you're gonna go and see them. Like, did you listen to Sungazer before? Mel, did you see the screenshot of you and the little cousins I put in the Discord? Y'all were so cute yesterday. I haven't yet. Thank you, Joy V, for letting me know. I'll have to go and look at it. I appreciate you telling me. First week was alright. I'm luckily not distressed about the classes. Of course, I listen to jazz. Lane doesn't cease to amaze, huh? A metalhead who dresses in black, has Nordic runes. He has a tomahawk. Also listens to jazz. This dude actually doesn't cease to amaze. I love you, Lane. Have a good time, dude. Sungazer. It's a sick name as well for a band. Nice. That sounds like fun, Lane. I hope you have a good time. Thank you, Shannon, for sharing that love too. I never got to drive until I was 17 either. Okay. I didn't get to finish my point actually. So within this trip of not being able to trust your kids, and because you don't trust them, you don't get to realize that they're trustworthy. Eventually, they started trusting me, right? Like I've never crashed a car or whatever, and I've like driven at least 50,000 miles. And I was working as a salesman. I hated that so much. Beside the point. I I've been driving, right? And then they could trust me, and my trust or their trust in me was always kind of like confirmed, where it was like, yeah, in fact, is trustworthy. And that might have like shifted their perspective to the point where now they have an easier time trusting my younger siblings because they could find some sort of trust in me and my younger sibling as well. Like Ruda is also like an adult right now, basically. Nice, sounds like fun. I listen to music as a whole. It's important for me to be a well-rounded musician and not listen to everything. And not? And not listen to everything? I'm guessing you mean to listen to everything. I agree completely, brother. Except country. Country is exactly where my mind went. Even country. Even country can you can be like, yes, this is horrible. Please, someone take me out of my misery. You can be like, yeah. You're very charming and charismatic, Melt. I bet you were a very good salesman. Mm, uh, I don't actually know if I really was. I could have been better, but I didn't want to sell my soul that much. Like, like maybe a little bit of soul selling, a little bit. With the whole pretending to care about things. But yeah, fortunately, I didn't have to continue doing that. Have to remember too, the older generations do not understand changing technologies and the streaming, etc. Even those that do might not understand your commitment here without experiencing it. It's true, Savina. It really is true. I'm happy that I got to explain at least in part. I appreciate everything musically because every musician is trying to do what I'm trying exactly. And I mean, if that person has made music, you know how much effort that is, Lane. You know more than most, dude. So it allows you an even deeper sense of appreciation to be able to listen to this person's work, even though it might not be subjectively good to your ears. You can still listen to it with this deep understanding of how much work and effort goes into doing something like that. Maybe Johnny Cash would be an exception. I know about Johnny Cash, but I don't know what his sounds like. Willie Walker Jr. is solid country, well comedy country music. Like he makes it playful, I guess, jokingly singing about things. Mm. One. Until 17 either, Savina says, despite being on private land around cars a bit when I was 14 and 15, but I'm thankful for it. Better than picking up bad habits before getting your license. It's true. It is true. I get what you're coming from. Thank you so much for sharing that, actually, Savina. When people tell you that they will be there and then don't show up, it's because they don't respect your time. I've had to learn this the hard way with people who claim to care. Yeah, and this is also our time now, right? Like we've shown up to have this time with one another. So if I don't show up for it, it's in the same way to me that, oh, I didn't value your time. You can come and look for me, but I'm not going to show up for it. When you're breaking your fast, Mel, tonight, I'm breaking my fast tonight. That's the first thing you're going to eat. Probably pecan pie. I got myself a slice of pecan pie in a kostblok and a Tupperware in a lunchbox. There we go. That's the word. Got myself some pecan pie cheesecake, carrot cake with uh, cream cheese icing, and pumpkin dark chocolate pumpkin cake that has dark chocolate drizzle over it on top of that. Then I also have malva pudding, which is a type of South African traditional pudding that is made here like so often, especially with like family get-togethers. And I got myself some of that as well. And we had pulled pork sandwiches during this weekend, so I made myself 3 pulled pork sandwiches as well in a lunchbox. I don't know if I'll be eating all of that, but that'll definitely be some of the things I'll be eating tonight. Thank you for asking. I'm really looking forward to breaking my fast. Like, I've never, actually never, looked more forward to breaking a fast than I do today. You saved yourself some on birthday pie. I did. I did. And I'm so happy that I did. Things melted like the sweets. Yes, I do. I do, especially the part of myself that is two little bugs. Two little bugs fall in my water. Two little bugs flow. Take one out. Freak it out. Two little bugs in my water. You see that little dude? Fly away. No, he's still there. Okay. No, he's not. It's not about respect or consideration in most cases. It's about the drop in effort over time. Ooh, Yossi. CJD. Now you're coming in with some wisdom. The drop in effort over time, because you can say something and you can in the moment believe it. And then you could like have some difficulty throughout the day and you have to exert some effort to kind of get through those moments. And then by the time you have to exert even more effort to now make this time commitment, you have reached a point where your effort bar has run out and then you don't. Very beautiful point, CJ. Thank you for actually bringing that into our minds. It's a good thing to consider. The water is clean. The calf is now. Yes! Just got the email. Look at that. Less than a week, dude. Absolute gangsters. Truth. I'm happy that you get to drink some clean water as well now, man. Sounds like there is some trust missing in the relationship between you and the parents. I feel like, especially my dad, my dad doesn't trust me at all. He's scared that I'll change him. Anon says it's cause of parents will not trust their children because they think that they will get into trouble. So that most old children get through all of those problems, and then it comes to younger ones, they will be much easier to deal with. That's also a good point. The fact that they might be protective of you, you know. I feel that. Thank you for sharing that fact, friend. Or that perspective, I guess is the right word. Woohoo! Encouragement for the clean water. Melty, do you feel like party drained? Your battery being around so many people. I've noticed as a fellow empath that happens. Yeah, definitely. 100% though. But I'm not a victim to it. I'm just I gave as much as I was willing to give. And talking about this effort, like suddenly I had to give exponentially more. Right now, I'm not only giving love from the perspective of a being that is receptive to and giving love to me, but now I'm trying to generate love in an experience that feels like injustice. No way. Thanks for the heads up. That's huge. Can't wait to not live in flesh. True. Oh, I'm happy to hear that, friend. Parents tend to be extra strict with the first kids because they're learning and don't want to screw things up. I guess that makes sense. You are awesome. Construction ready? I am, but a reflection of you. Hmm? I am the same consciousness, right? I look out and I see hands. You look out and you see hands. You might not be seeing the same hands. You might not be seeing the same environment, but you're still the same seeing, you know? And so you seeing awesome in me probably means that you're awesome yourself. I appreciate you for sharing love, friend. Sending you bear hugs, Melty. Thank you. Ugh. Actually, I'm gonna put this glass down. Actually, give myself a bear. I'm so thin right now. I feel like I might be the thinnest I've ever been in my entire life. There is no such thing as a perfect human, and there never will be. The only thing that matters is that we get up and try every day to be better. Absolutely, Maxine. And you encourage to do that, friend. Backs away in fear of hearing Melty say that he crushes beans. I do crush my own beans, Maxine. If you want your coffee supreme, then you should get a volcano from Stores and Bickle. They will elevate your bud experience. Oh, like the volcano smoker. Yeah, I would like one. I mean, I probably get myself a mighty before I get myself a volcano, but I'll do that when I can afford to. Right now, I am not buying anything for leisure. All of the things I want to buy is to make this space better, to empower me even more creatively. And I mean, a volcano might empower me creatively, but it will probably get me blazed more often than not. No joke! I was prepared for a Flint 2.0 in Mount P. I have, like, I don't know what these words mean. I was two. I'm actually really surprised how fast they got it fixed, sus. No, probably just engineering, dude. Proper, like, proper urgency. I mean, like, that's a lot of people that does not have water, like you. People will get angry, man. We can get back up. When you said you slept on a stretcher last night, over here stretchers are what EMTs put injury people on. So it's like one of those, like, it's like a foldable bed, and then it has like a material, and then if you fold the frame out, it like basically tensions the, why can't I freaking words right now? It tensions the material, so it has like this divot in it, and then you could like put a little mattress in it, but it still has the divot, so you're like sleeping in a little bit of a cradle. A hammock? No, it was a stretcher, friend. That's what we call them, at least. Foldable bed. Um, words. What's this? I've been listening to you chatting while we packing. I'm heading out to see my Cape Rana. Mmm. I see a light bulb going off in my head. Have an amazing time. Such an amazing time, Jovan. Do tell Guyana that we're sending her love. I think the threat was smaller than they expected. Probably a hammock. Say what, Sailor Joe? No human. Human. Oh goodness. Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything, dude. A folding cot? Yeah, I think maybe that's the right word. A folding cot. We call them stretchers. When we say Flint, there was a water crisis here in Michigan a long time ago that's still going on to this day. Okay. Okay. Blessings to those friends as well. We have some water crises here in South Africa as well. Where people, like put bricks in their toilets so that they don't fill up as much and stuff. Just wanted to let y'all know that I'm a miss this bliss out of you all. So I'm out. You're such a beautiful part of my every morning. Mm. As you are part of ours. Beloved Jovan. The Jobot herself. What an experiencer. A creative, a loving individual. She has a parrot called Zoe. She has doggos. The amount of love in that being. Thank you, Jovan, for choosing out of anything that you could share to share love. We appreciate you so much. I crush beans with my mind. Yossi. Yossi Bobassi. Teach me how to telekinetics, please. I'm confused. Are you vaping coffee or are you drinking coffee and hitting the volcano? I think Sucker Wish was like attaching the fact that I'm being snobby for the last 18 days of my coffee drinking, that I should upgrade my snobbiness to my smoking as well. Sink, thank you, Rambler. It's nice to see you too, friend. I love you all. As we do you, Jumpin' Jack. Much love to my magnificent, infinite creatures. Much love to you too. It's nice to have you, friend. Thank you for the love as well, Shan. Gonna go be people today. Wish me luck. I wisheth you luck, friend. I had to be people yesterday and today as well, man. It's hard sometimes. Twaffle maker! Oh, have I missed you? Saying morning, Sunday Meltonians. For our space we share this morning, I am burning these four incenses: pine, sandalwood, coconut, and the galaxy. I'm cleaning the kitchen with a rose scented household cleanser. This friend always does this. Lights us sticks of incense, that there are beings within the infinite space of reality thinking about us as a collective and then lighting these beautifully scented little sticks for us, for the space. We see you, Thuffle. Thank you for joining us, friend. How are you doing? How's life been treating you? Much love to you, Melt, for being so open with your experiences. We have all been there, Melt. Oh, wait, thank you. I feel I have. Being honest, having apologized, not pretending like we're something we're not, melts away the tension as well. Those sands burning together sounds divine, right? Today is my father's birthday. He is 76 years old. We're having ribeyes later and a stack of Krispy Kreme donuts with cupcakes in the center. That sounds like. Why am I getting goosebumps? My bruh, please, Dad, have mercy on my heart, though. My body is like food. Donuts with cupcakes in the middle of them, how you say? Gets more freaking goosebumps. That sounds like a vibe, actually, dude. I'm just imagining you eating donut flavor, and then suddenly it transitions to cupcake flavor. Back to donut flavor. In the same little saucer. Little flying saucer, little alien vehicle. Packed with so many little entities of flavor. One of the effects of ADHD is having sensory overload around large groups of people, loud sounds, or getting overstimulated out in public. I've had a fill in my home. I've had to fill my home with peace and calm to make it sacred in order to counter it. Thank you for doing that, Maxine. We have to. Seriously, like you have to try and create some vibes, feng shui, zenness. Uh, what's another word? I think you said it perfectly. Peace and calm in your space. And you don't have to do it everywhere, but try and find a space. Maybe like a space to meditate in, for example, and just have some peace and calm, almost like acknowledge slash resign to only finding peace and calm when you put yourself in that space. Thank you for the encouragement, Maxine. Sounds like a great birthday treats. Love him and keep him. I lost mine when he was 59. I was 28. Yes, he did. And that sounds pretty close to my dad's situation as well. I mean, he's not dying, but it sounds like you were around, the same age that I was, like plus 4 years for my dad, plus 4 years. Sounds so good. Your dad is the control man. His ego needs to feel like he's the one in charge. He's the man. Can't possibly let you win the argument or drive the bike because then he relinquishes control. Yeah, I guess that is true. But we don't have control in the first place. And to want to enforce your control in order to what? Feel like you control? I don't I don't understand. I guess I don't have to. How funny, I'm currently diffusing an oil blend called Peace and Calming. Synchronicities, thank you. Literally for putting peace and calming into your space. Literally like little molecules being aerosolized. Bonding with your mucous membrane so you can smell it. Yeah, fascinating. It sounds like he is a male ego is a bit fragile, and he's going to say Mel doesn't care because he didn't get his way. Yeah, it's like if I cared, he would be getting his way all the time. But because I don't care, he doesn't get his way. Obviously. Hey, bro. Hey, you, environmental bats. Nice to have you. Melty should have merch. We should each have a Melty mouse pad and a Melty stream scarf. Twaffle. Thank you, friend. Eventually, right? Eventually, it will be. My objective is not to extract resources from you friends, and I don't necessarily believe that's what merch is, but it could be. It is what merch is for a lot of people, is to somehow extract more wealth from the people that want to support them. Like I want, if I ever sell you something, I want it to be something you actually cherish, deeply cherish. So I will eventually start a clothing brand, but only if I can do so with 100% hemp products. I'm looking forward to it, Waffle. We'll have 100% hemp scarves and 100% hemp mouse pads. You can even make hemp yoga mats. Exactly my reason. Extract my resources. I dare you. Starts prying the resources out of Keep your resources, dude. You having your resources is me as you having my resources. Meaning I already have your resources as you, which is still me. You know? Already got your money, dude. Your money is my money as your money. And I don't need your money because I get to have your money as you. I don't need it. Keep it, dude. Keep it. I would deeply cherish it so much. Thank you, Joy Vive, a branded waffle maker. I want the melty branded waffle maker. Goodness. I'm just imagining like me going like full corporate, just sells like any any skinned, Chinese product I can. Waffle makers, Game Boys, hit him up like a soldier boy. Oh goodness, thank you so much. I would love to design some melty merch. I feel that, Contoons. Don't say things you don't mean, dude. I'm gonna hit you up, dude. Resources. I love you, Lane. Thank you for the bet. Keep your money, dude. Really, you're already a supporter on the Patreon, man. It means so much. Whew. We'll only get more abundant as we continue into the future. More and more and more and more until we melt more. Till we can melt more, everyone. Caffeine snobs should likewise be elevated in takers. Yeah, God, I feel that, Dan. Tokers, I feel that completely. Just from what I hear of him in the stream, he's been raised to be the definition of toxic masculinity. Sad but hard when life has shaped you to be the thing. It's a wonder Mel can embrace such divine energy despite that. I feel the deep love and respect and intention in that message. But I have such deep love and respect and intention for my dad as well that I feel he just doesn't know better. It's almost like he's stuck. It's like he's stuck, and I'm like, I see him in the mud pit, and I'm like, take this stick. And he's like, no, fuck you. I don't take that stick. You think I need that stick? I can help myself. You know? Praise harder. I'm like, please, dude, please stop praying. Your eyes are closed and you're sinking deeper. Please take the stick. Ah, please, take the fucking stick. Nope. Doesn't want to take the stick. And me trying, the thing is, the joke is, the fact that he is the way he is, this certain interpretation of masculinity, means that it also makes it infinitely harder for me to try and break through to him because me breaking through to him would be an offense of that masculinity. Now it's happening, Melt. Uh, I will throw you some concepts. And I don't know what the time frame is going to be like. Like right now, hemp is actually starting to become a resource again. It was for the longest time banned, all over the world because it was associated with marijuana. But that is changing. That is changing, and we'll have some tech to kind of like process these things as well as we go into the future. Gotta go. Big hugs, jumping. Mwah! Love to you. Maxine says, I agree, Melty. I haven't seen my parents in decades, and I see small bits of myself that are like them. I hate it. And that's why I strive so hard every day to be better. Fortunately, I see parts of my dad in me that I love as well, Maxine. I do. You know, it's just about trying to see those things, I guess, at this point, almost like seeing those things as an act of walking towards them, walking away from the things that do not serve us, melting them away. I get off the aroma of my coffee brewing, but I think I draw the line at vaping it. My lungs have been through enough, just starts vaping coffee beans. Absolute gangster. I made it myself, says it brought me joy signing into Reddit and seeing you sharing morning thoughts and connection with people. Cheers. Cheers to you, dear friend. Thank you for doing the exact same, for sharing some of your joy and your connection with all of us. We see you and we love you too. I made it myself. I'd wear a shirt with Melt's big old mug melting on it. Quoting, when you feel like you're melting, melt more. Certified group stand moment. Eden, thank you. Merch idea locked. Maybe we'll make merch one day. I wanted to be good merch though. I want it to be just something that you can almost like frame. Like it should be an actual work of art. You can frame it and leave it on the wall, and it would be just as beautiful, just as worthy. When you can't see on the Reddit stream, is there are four rocks behind Melty that looks like a baby onyx from these? Are you talking about those? Those are hay bales that I've been basically decomposing. It's the type of morning when I wake up and bake, but I can't find any papers. I haven't had any papers for a while now, truth. I actually want some more again. I really enjoy the act of smoking a joint, but alas, I've not in a while now. The difficult people in our lives are usually our greatest teachers. Why can't I words right now, Rambler? Maybe you're being a little bit difficult. I'm being difficult. Even if they all teach us not how to not act, it's still a lesson. I agree. I actually do agree with that. And as I've said to you friends multiple times, if my dad wasn't the way he was, I wouldn't be the way I am. So in extension of that, I can't actually say anything about my dad, because if he wasn't the way he was and I wouldn't be the way I am, then we wouldn't be here right now and I wouldn't have the opportunity to say anything at all. So it's this whole trip. Currently smoking a blunt, my cup of coffee. Sounds nice. You can't worse because your body is consuming itself. Fats being eaten. It is getting close to the time I have to leave. In 30 minutes, we have a sangha. This time it is actually in 30 minutes. It actually is in 30 minutes. We're going to contemplate security, emotionality, self confidence, compassion, communication, insight, connection. Then we're gonna play some kalimba. Then we're gonna meditate for 11 minutes and 11 seconds. And then we're gonna have some fat, the fattest of chats. Is it for reals earlier today? Yeah, this time it actually is. Thank you, Shannon. This time I made sure. I made sure before saying anything. Savina and Rambler and Eden. I'm gonna read some of these last ones. Hey, Toasty Toasty! Malosty! So happy to see him. Three cheers for him. Hem! Absolutely. Hem's gonna be the OG. Yo, screaming loud. I get it. Time to leave the area of a double break. Why do we let me break? No, please don't think I'm hating on that. No, I don't even for a second. I don't even for a second. I was just feeling that out of all the things that I could do, I could be like, yeah, yeah, or I could be like that. And I felt like that fractal was the one worth exploring. I didn't think any negative or Eden shouldn't be banana. No, just love. Spreading the love. Nice work, dudes. My brother is here watching, showing him the vibes here. Mwah. Love to you, Truth brother. It's cool to have you too. We're gonna pull a card right now. It might be weird. It's a sacred geometry cards. So our universe has all of these rules, right? And if you kind of visualize these rules, they form patterns, and those patterns we call sacred geometry. So these cards are based on those patterns, if you will. Please don't think I'm hitting on that. I totally agree. He's a good person and can love and be loved. It's not his fault. That's what his experience has been. Don't give up that hope. I agree so beautifully. Thank you for saying that as well, Eden. I feel he spent so much time preparing for a world that does not exist anymore. And I heard this from someone else. I can't even remember who, but I was like, oh, I think it was from Flossie. Flossie, my yoga teacher, the person I got certified with. People spend so much time preparing for a world that does not exist anymore. And it can be very difficult to acknowledge that and to try and move on, to try and be in the world now. Parents so often desperately struggle between what they have experienced and what they wish for their kids. That sometimes they do not take into consideration what their kids want or need. I feel in a way they also believe somehow, maybe faultily, that they know better. They know more than what their kids want and what their kids need. And in some context, they might be right, you know, that over enough attempts, they probably will be right more often than not. But to not kind of like consider or respect or ask about your kids' wants and desires, then you're just creating separation. Ooh, new beginnings. Yo, oh, blessings. What a trip. Of course, we pulled a new beginnings card. Ooh, new beginnings. I don't know if you can see that with the light. I hope so. I do believe. It's basically a divine, stormy mother breathing life into her baby. The baby's hand beaming this rainbow out of it, caught within these golden ratio hearts, surrounded by, I believe, 7 geometry stars. And these points are colored as well. Let's see if I can block some of the light. That's gorgeous. To new beginnings. Card number 31. Breath, prana, and birth. He is sending much love, of course. It's the card too. Yeah. Dude, new beginnings, dude. Breath, prana, and birth. This card of new beginnings and renewed life force. This is a card. The mother goddess passes on the breath of life, the vital, life sustaining force of living prana. As the child is birthed into this plane of existence, hearts formed from golden spirals carry the energy of deep love to the new beginning. Pulling this card indicates that new beginnings are expanding your life. Breathe into this new energy and feel the life force that resides there. Follow the prana in your breath as you inhale and exhale. Feel how your energy is renewed with each breath. Picture yourself breathing life into each new beginning. Whether you are birthing a child, a relationship, or a creative project, inhale life force into your lungs and heart. Then exhale prana into your endeavor. Feel the evolution of new beginnings filled with life force and success. Recognize how the events of your life activate new beginnings each and every day, with each breath, with each fresh viewpoint. I started playing Hades. What a gangster, dude. Do you feel like a god? I know why you resonated with that game so much. It's a vibe, huh? I mean, I'm not playing it that. I'm. I want to say I'm not playing it that much anymore, knowing full well I haven't played it once in like the last 9 months or something. But it is a vibe, dude. You're just like, you feel so powerful, dude. And then eventually you kill your dad. You can't kill him because he's immortal. So are you. But every single game, you win by killing your dad. It's a whole vibe. Thank you, Toast. Oh, I love you, brother bear. Love you, friend. You are a beautiful fractal, and you have truly added to the curiosity I have in this realm of life. You have helped so many see beauty in this existence. Never lose sight of that. I never will, Eden. Thank you for choosing to still remind me. It's totally glitching. Is it just me, or is the Reddit camera freaking out between Melt and the sun? It's like, which one is the sun again? It's breathing. Vibes. There is like 20. No, there is like. Why can't I math right now, dude? My brain is so tired. 19. There's 19 minutes left. There's gonna be a sangha. We're gonna come together as a community, have some fattest chats, see if we can dive even deeper into what is. Melty, are you going to your trip tonight? Yeah, I am. I'm breaking. I'm breaking my 7 day fast. I haven't smoked since Friday. I haven't drank yeah, coffee since Friday as well. So I feel like I've done the work. I've prepared. I have set my intentions deeply. Like I feel it's very difficult to set an intention deeper than fasting for 7 days before you do something. Like that is some that is some intention. Thank you, friends, for intending to be here today. Miss Molly, beloved friend, the powwow was awesome. I learned a lot. We always do, especially when we're amongst new people. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Molly, for going out there and experiencing something new. It's so nice to have you here for a moment. The card made me think of holding my baby nephew for the first time yesterday. It is almost the same photo. It's almost the same photo, even. Shannon. More synchronicity. I didn't even click that. Thank you for sharing that, for making sure I do. What a trip. That's actually cool. Is that a donkey I hear? No, probably cows. Probably cows. Thank you. Joy V. Thank you, beloved friends. You want to say, just want to say, I started hearing the stream around the time Fruit Cup was born. She's 9 months old today. Whew. Goosebumps again. Where does the time go? Hmm. Where does the time go? Maybe it doesn't go anywhere. Maybe we just lost it or left it behind. Maybe we leave time behind in pursuit of the now. Thank you for being with her, for being present in this moment with me. Thank you, dear friends. I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. Won't be too long. So thankful for all the convos we had, Melt and friends. Much love to you. Much love to you too. Contoons, love truth. Send love to your brother again. It was nice to have you both here with us today. Love a friend. Shens, Joy V, Jovan might have already gone on her adventures. I don't know if Lane is still here. Even if I'm not saying your name, I love you. I'm sorry. If I've ever said something, if I've ever done something that you felt, no, Melt, you're better than that. I am. I agree. So I'm sorry for not being better. I know you don't expect anything of me, but I want to be better for you too. I love you. Thank you for being better for the world as well. I look forward to seeing you friends again in a bit. Cheers. Thank you, friends. I love you.